Hey there, I'm Dana, and I'm 25 years old. Over the past 2 years, my job has taken me across Asia, Europe, Israel, giving me the opportunity to dive into diverse business cultures. Numerous negotiations with top management of huge international companies inspired me to explore the personal side of these successful people. Because beyond their professional personas, they're real people with mistakes, hesitations, and fears. During these interviews, we'll focus on them as people, discussing motivations, mistakes, and their lives beyond the office. I hope this format will resonate with young professionals like me who are trying to find their way, and experienced professionals seeking for work-life balance and reflecting on life's meaning. Because, basically, we all ask ourselves the same questions. Who am I, and what do I want to do in life?
Once you finish college, everything's going to be great. Hey, once you get your first job, everything's going to be great. I think that doesn't make sense.
And let's focus on you as a person.
You may not get all answers to every question, but you will probably figure out which question is more important.
What was the most important lesson that you've learned from your mistakes?
That's a very tough one.
What's the most important part for you in job? Money or satisfaction?
That's a very tough one.
What motivates you on a daily basis?
I
That's a tough one.
don't know. Wow. I think I'm perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes. The worst advice would be perhaps that there would be one point in life when everything would be all right. Should you really be worried about making everybody happy around you? Should that be your motivation?
What is your superpower?
Sometimes you can be with somebody, but in your head, you're completely somewhere else. That would actually complete the weekend.
So, Gaurav, yes, this is my first episode of my podcast. It's also an experiment for me. I'm a bit nervous, frankly speaking, and I want to thank you for being my first guest. My first guest is honored Gaurav Khanna. So, Gaurav, for just 1 hour, let's forget that you are an expert and let's focus on you as a person. I don't want to give an intro right now because I would like to ask you to do this. From your perspective, what are the most important aspects of yourself?
Wow. What are the most important aspects? It's a very deep question, right? I think I am at heart, I'm a very people's person. I'm an ambivert who likes to experiment with my extrovert side a lot. Uh, and I take deep interests in, I'm curious about people in general. I love to understand how they think, and I think it generally makes me very, very curious. Uh, yeah, and I think because I exercise this in my personal life, in my social life, in my professional life, that part of me doesn't change.
And does this curiosity help you in your daily routine because you're leading a very big team in one of the hugest Asian companies? Does it help you having this empathy, having this curiosity of people?
Oh, absolutely. Because the most important thing I believe is really not looking at everyone from the same lens. Everybody has a very, very different background, thought processes, the way they look at things, the stage they are in at life. So unless until you're really curious to know them in a true way, in a true sense, you can't really do the right thing for them or with them.
If we're already in the direction of talking about your priorities and main things that you believe in life, could you name, let's say, 3 top priorities that are most important for you in life?
Oh, it has to be my family. They are the top priority for sure because I've realized this. I think a little tough way, and thanks to all the people who've been in my life to make me realize that, and I've made sure that this would remain the top priority in my life now. So my family, the people around me, has to be the top priority. Second would certainly be uh, like health. I mean, let's order them, but in the top three would be health for sure. I've seen people suffer very closely, so I think whatever is in your control for your physical and mental health, it's absolutely essential to make it a top priority. And third would be which I mean, if I were to define it or give it a term, it would be personal growth. But that growth has to be all rounded. That growth is something that uh, satiates you. You feel happy about that, right? It's sort of a change that's happening day in, day out, and you're enjoying that change. I think that's the kind of growth I'm talking about.
And you've mentioned that you've came to these top three priorities, like not so it took you time to get the understanding that these three things are the top priority for you. But when did you understand
Yeah.
it? Because from my perspective, yes, I'm 25, and right now my main focus is my career. So I'm trying to balance it all, the family and the work. But I also always get the feeling that I'm missing something. But when did you have this feeling that, okay, no, my top one priority is the family?
Oh, I lost my mother in 2020, so it was a hard lesson. Uh, the good thing was that I spent a lot of time before she passed away, but the just the process of seeing her not being well and then leaving us was sort of an eye opener that how important family is and what really true happiness of life is about actually being around people. And then thanks to my wife as well, because she's changed my perspective there. She's very family oriented, and I clearly see like her priorities have become my priorities very happily with pleasure. I've adopted them, right? And the main turning point was when you lose someone you dearly love. I think it changes your perspective, right? And it's okay. I think, see, even I'm very passionate about my career. I don't think so. You can choose one or the other, and you don't have to. You really have to find the right harmony uh, among all these things for you. The notes, the tones that suit you with all these areas, right? And you strike that balance.
Speaking about the regrets that you've mentioned, what's one thing in your life that you would like to change, or you would have changed or done differently if you had a chance?
Hmm. Uh,
That's a tough one.
I don't know. I think that's a very tough one. Probably if I sit and make a list, there'll be plenty. I don't think I'm perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes. What is that one thing? No, there's so many things. Like I should have treated people better. I could have done that better, this better. I think so many things. If I have to pick one big episode, yeah, probably I should have married my wife sooner. I don't
Wow.
know.
So for how long you've been married right
Oh,
now?
it's been 2 years now.
2 years. And you've been dating before for how long?
I've dated her since like we were dating before marriage for about 5 years. It was my first job after my graduation, and that's where I saw her, met her. She was a senior in the office, so to say, by number of years in the office. So it started out as friends. We started we started doing. I think we participated in a few dance together in some office functions, and that's how it built up. And I think slowly we realized that we like each other, and eventually after a couple of years in Singapore, dealing with COVID together. After that,
Yeah.
we decided to get married. Yeah.
Because it was a tough thing for, I think, lots of couples to get through the COVID when you spend all the time
Yeah.
together in your apartment. So it's like, yeah, I understand it. And you've mentioned that you've met with your wife at work. So what's your attitude towards um, relationships at work?
Oh, as long as I think as long as it doesn't affect what you're doing, I think it's absolutely okay. You can't you can't control romantic feelings, or if you meet somebody that you're very compatible with, especially for young people, right? Like
Yeah.
at work, and work is a place where you do meet a lot of people, and something a romantic connection can spark. So as long as you really go by the books, all the policies that HR writes in the office, I think it's absolutely fine. And I don't think anybody should have any reservations about it as long as it doesn't interrupt careers.
I want to ask you a question. You've mentioned when I've asked you about the one thing that you would have changed if you had a chance. you've mentioned that you've done like lots of mistakes during your life. And to be honest, I have this feeling that I'm always nervous about making a mistake, that it's like a waste of time. And I'm sure that I'm not the only youngster who feels that way. And talking about like your mistakes, do you fear making mistakes?
Um, no, I think see, fear is a fear is something that happens to you. It's 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 not in your control. Only the reaction to fear is in your control. So, do I get afraid of making mistakes? Of course, I get afraid of making mistakes. But I think over time, if I've come to a realization, if I'm doing something that I believe in, if I'm standing by the principles that I've set for myself, uh, and if then I make a mistake, I think it's worth making because either you were holding on to wrong principles or your way of approaching things was wrong. So if that turns out to be a mistake, it's going to be a big lesson. So I think I've realized that mistakes are the only way you can learn something new. And I've realized that you need to rationalize your fears when you do get scared of doing something new or making a mistake. You gotta accept it. If your gut says go for it, go for it. And if it turns out to be a mistake, you're gonna have in turn a great lesson for yourself. And life is all about that, right? Isn't it? Otherwise, it gets so boring, right? If you keep checking the boxes and doing all the right things and everything is happy-go-lucky, then it will be a boring life. What will you talk about?
And talking about the lessons learned, what was the most important lesson that you've learned from your mistakes? I know that there are
Again, a
lots of
tough one.
sorts of mistakes, but I mean,
Yeah.
maybe to generalize it.
Hmm. Maybe something which is a very common principle that I've probably formed after experience, and is that not to react too quickly, having that patience, that benefit of time on your side when you have to react to tough situations. Quick reaction or a not a well thought out reaction has a high risk of that. You'll either hurt someone or you'll hurt yourself or you'll take a wrong decision, which in other words a mistake, right? And I think having that patience, uh, having that slow thinking in your life is important, I guess. I think that would be one big lesson.
Can you like?
Yeah.
I understand that you've came up with this thought based on your previous experience. Maybe you can share one of such stories when you get to this idea that you should take a bit more time.
Hmm. This is something like a general principle I've adopted over time. So, for example, it could be like jumping jobs, for example, right? Uh, I've usually found out it's better to really slow down, rationalize your fears, uh, really understand what are the source of fears, and then take it very, very slow and think about it thoroughly uh, before you're making a decision of, let's say, changing jobs, right? A lot of the people we have seen, and it's a very common place where people are not happy with what they are doing, right? And that city I was for about 5 years, right? And there were opportunities where I could have moved, but I took my time to think through it, and I realized it was for the good, right? Ultimately, the decisions that I did take. But I've seen friends, people, those who take decisions with sort of uh, a narrow window of thought, as well as time, as well as factors that they consider. Uh, yeah, just slow down, take a step back, look at the big picture. Uh, and if you need time, be patient and take time, but don't take hasty decisions, perhaps.
But I think that a lot of people, when we're talking about changing jobs, the main aspect is like, let's face it, I think money for like lots of people. And speaking about you, what's the most important part for you in job? Money or the feeling of satisfaction that from your work?
Uh, no, I think for me right now, I think to be very honest, uh, it has to be the satisfaction. I don't think so. Money alone can really move the needle, right? Like the reason is, and I've been at both the places. I've been on both sides, and I'm saying it after being on this side and that side, where money mattered a lot. But after a point in time, it's not that money doesn't matter now; it does. But you really realize that your peace of mind, your daily peace of mind, the satisfaction, the drive that you have at work, the satisfaction that you drive on a daily basis out of work, is is way more important than that monthly satisfaction of seeing a paycheck coming to your bank account, right? But then I'd rather work on making my life such that I can have a secure financial future by containing my needs rather than going after money and then ex- ex- expanding my wants to an extent where money becomes the primary thing that I'm chasing instead of my own peace, happiness, satisfaction. I think I'd rather look at it this way now. Yeah.
Like back when you were 25, what was your motivation there? Money or
Oh, absolutely. I think
satisfaction?
that no, that was that, at that point in time. It was so many things beyond money as well. I think it was fastest. How can you really grow? How can you get to the next level fastest? How can you learn this? How can you learn that? How can you go to this place? How can you go to that place? How can you earn more money? I think I think we are driven mostly by so many hormones, right? The biology in your head, like the dopamine that you get when you bite into a bar of chocolate, or the hit that you get when you have a cup of coffee in the morning. We are driven by that, and I think when you're figuring our life out when you're young, you are so much driven by so many feelings that it's hard to rationalize and then think through them very clearly. But slowly, your life, as you go through life, I think you realize that some things are more important than the other, and everybody probably figures it out in their own. I mean, everybody's journey is unique, right? So you can't really generalize, and you can't really put milestones on a timeline for everyone. So I think everybody's going to have their own unique experiences in life, and they'll figure out their truths, what matters to them at their own pace.
I agree. And what I'm hearing right now is that you've had a very great experience, like having various interesting jobs in various companies, even in various countries. That's how you learn how to live this life. But I think that again, from my perspective, from the person who is trying to get it all, to find the best place, like the job place, and to balance in life, I'm still trying to find what is my thing, what are my interests, what are my priorities. And since you already understand what your thing is, which advice could you give for me and for my generation, if you will?
The advice for the current generation, I think, if I were to just give an advice to my younger self again, would be to know when you are attracted to something, and then that's basically in your career, jobs, in a partner, to things, to really ask yourself why, right? I think knowing that why is very important, and usually you wouldn't have an answer. And I think it's life is all about figuring that answer out. So to make effort to figure out why do you want that, right? Like what would you get that? And but then keep asking yourself why. I think question more. Instead of questioning the outside world, I think outside world, question more inside. That's very important, and then seek answer to those questions, because that's where real happiness lies in life, right? Like it's not outside, it's not with somebody else. It is within, looking inside and asking why do you really go after whatever you go after.
And with the age changes and job changes, and like you're becoming like a grown up, yes, like this amount of questions, are they becoming more questions than you've been asking yourself when you were like 20, or how has it changed for you?
I think there's this popular saying which I can't recall, but the essence really is that you may not get all answers. You may not get all answers to every question, but you will probably figure out which question is more important. So eventually your questions will reduce, because you'll not get all the answers for sure. You may not, but at least you'll know which are the important questions if you start digging a bit, right? And then you'll know what questions to stick with to figure out answers to.
So these questions reduction it comes with the wisdom, with experience. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, perhaps with experiences for sure. With time tells you. Your life tells you what questions to focus on.
I hope that um, in the upcoming future, yes, I will definitely have fewer questions to myself, because right now it's quite difficult. There are thousands of questions in my head, and I'm talking to my friends and they have the same amount of questions. But when I'm speaking to like a bit older people than me, I feel that they're like, a bit settled down. Like, Dana, just chill a bit. It's not like you should have all answers to your questions. It doesn't make even sense. Like,
Yeah, that's
so
true.
yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
And speaking about experience, what's your attitude towards advices that you're giving or you've been given?
I think, yeah, that's super important. That basically means that you consciously seek out help. I think that's very, very important. Seek out help from people you think will be able to help in that particular area, right? Like, I think go out for mentors, ask for help. It's absolutely okay. Everybody either has gone through what you've been going through, or some flavor of what you have been through, and they can easily get you a new perspective, and make the process of figuring out things way more easier. So I think the approach is always be open um, to taking help, getting help from people outside, and actually make it a habit of actively doing it. I don't think so. I'm very good at it, to be very honest. But I think this is something that I've really been wanting to get good at, is asking help, reaching out to people, uh, learn from their experiences. That's super critical, I guess.
And what was the best and worst advice that you've ever received?
Best and worst advice. Mm, I think best advice would be to explore yourself. That's something that I learned while I was still in college. Try out as many things as you can. Try out different things, and that really helped me, because I think that sort of uh, made me very curious about new things in life in general, which I wasn't until I entered college. So that has always, now it's stuck with me, right? Like I live by it. Whereas the worst advice, who do I point the worst advice to? I think the worst advice would be perhaps that, there will be one point in life when everything will be all right. I think it's a journey. I don't think so that ever happens. I remember when I was a kid, or it happens with most of the kids. My entire generation would agree with me, probably. At least the city that I lived in, all the kids there would agree with me that your grown-ups, the adults around you would tell you that, hey, once you finish college, everything's gonna be great. Hey, once you get your first job, everything's gonna be great. Once you get married, the things will be perfectly lined up. I think that doesn't make sense. It's a process. It's a journey you have to enjoy. So there is no end to it, right? Like it's a process you have to live through, the journey that you have to enjoy, and you'll have to make it yourself. And you'll probably change things within you to make things right for you, instead of the other way around, that things will line up by themselves. That doesn't happen.
That's an amazing worst advice that I've ever heard. We all have this feeling that like we're motivated by the results, but the main thing about life is that you don't wait till you get to this point. Like, start enjoying the life right now. And Gaurav, what, like, you have great family, you have amazing career, you have this life experience. What motivates you on a daily basis?
Interesting. I think motivation. Certainly living a good life with your family again, uh, to make people around you happy. As a child, as long as you have your parents, you're the only thing that I think a big motivation factor is, that I want to make my parents proud, right? Essentially, that's a very inborn sort of a thing that you probably have within you as a kid itself. I don't think so that feeling dies. That just takes new shape as you grow up. you want to do good thing to people that you care about around you. That's a big motivation factor. I think you know, do good around you, be kind to people. That what keeps you going, I guess, right? That's what makes you happy and make your life worth living. Fulfilling personal like wants and goals can only take you, uh, like not far enough, I guess, because you would always have something new that you'd want, and then something new that you want. So it just never ends, I guess, right? And I don't think so that that can be the motivation for a very long time. I guess it'll die.
Yeah.
I don't think so. It fuels itself.
But it's like a bit controversial for me when we are talking about like making life better, making like different in a good way, or like satisfying our parents or our like wife or I don't know, husband, child, whatever. For all these people, the good thing is different thing. For instance, for the family as you and your wife, there might be some priorities. I don't know, money that you can afford, whatever you want. For your child, it will be definitely the time that you spend with him or her. For your parents, it will be like another thing. But how to, or should there even be a motivation in life? Should we satisfy our beloved people, or like it's it's an open question. I'm also wondering. I don't have this answer. I don't know what motivates me. I'm trying to understand, but from time, I understand that I'm assuming that for my parents, my results will be the best thing, and they will be proud of me. But when I'm asking them directly right now, yes, at the age of 25, they're like, Dana, we don't care about your results. We want you to be happy. And I've been living my whole life thinking that I should achieve more to make them proud of me. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, tough. That's a okay. If you throw googlies, I think so. Okay, let's reverse it, right? Should you really be worried about making everybody happy around you? Should that be your motivation, or should you be thinking about making yourself happy because then everybody else is happy? Then you're able to keep everybody else happy, right? Yeah, I think you're right. Going above and beyond and doing things that you may not find right, you are not happy with, just for other people around you, even if they are the ones who you love, uh, ultimately causing trouble to your own self, making you unhappy. I don't think so. That would be the right thing. Um, I think coming at peace and at acceptance with yourself, doing things that you are okay with, you show the love that they, that you owe to them, for sure. But if it's something that you don't believe in, then I don't think so. You should do it as well, right?
I think that our beloved people, our families, they want us to be happy and they care about us very much. So that's why they always give us advices and they want our life to be better in a way. But what's care for you? I mean, to care about somebody, what does it mean for you?
Um, Care to me genuinely means giving attention. Sometimes you can be with somebody, spend the whole day, but in your head, you're completely somewhere else. That's very common. I think I do it, but that's what care for me means. I think being there with your whole self, and that itself is very difficult. In today's day and age, we're not where we are, so our minds are all completely somewhere else. So just when you are there, you may not have all the time in the world for whoever you want to spend with, but when you do take that time out and spend, I think just being there 100% is care, because once you do that, uh, you'll probably care enough to, if they need something, if they want something, you'll know it, because not everybody would ask for it, but you'll know it if you're there with them, right? So just being there when you are there, even if it is a little amount of time, I think that's what care is.
Living in the moment, enjoying the process, yes?
Yeah, enjoying
Getting
the company,
back to what we've
whoever you're
discussed.
spending it with. Yeah.
Yep. That's great definition of care. Like it. The last question is, what is your superpower? What makes Gaurav great?
Ah, I don't think so. I have any superpower, but if I were to nurture something, I think it'll be adaptability. to adapting to new situations as easily as you can, as with as much sort of persistence, with rigor as you can. I think that's something that I'd like to nurture.